Hello and welcome everyone to the next episode of DoubleDM podcast. I am your host Emil. I have with me my co-host Niels.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about today about the single word experience and why TTRPGs are so big or are becoming big. What is the reason for the rise of TTRPGs? We all know that they are fucking amazing, but there is some kind of explanation behind it, and we're trying to at least grasp one aspect of it. And that is what we're going to talk about today in this episode. But first, as every week's, Niels, how are you doing?
Let's say I had a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. First big thing, I plan to watch the Super Bowl with a couple of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And on my way there, I discovered something that really just was a good start for the week.
What did you discover?
Some asshole keyed my car.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I just walked up to my car and saw a piece of paper hanging on my front window. And I thought, oh, no, not again, not another ticket. But I couldn't figure out why I would have gotten a ticket because I stood correctly, parked correctly. Everything was good. And then I saw, some sort of property damage to a car. And I was like, hey, why would someone just stick a piece of paper from the police, an official paper from the police, on my windshield when they could have just sent me a letter if I hit some car while parking or something like that? And then I went around my car and checked if maybe something happened to my car and they wanted to notify me that way. Yeah, along the passenger side of my car, a big old streak from front to back.
Oh.
And then my day was ruined for a good part.
But wait, the piece of paper was from the police informing you of the property damage to your car, or was it?
Yeah, or it was from the Ordnungsamt. So,
yeah, okay. They do the dirty work.
Yeah, exactly. They walk around and check for wrongly parked cars and stuff.
Or something else like this.
Or something else like this. And they probably noticed this and put a notice on there with a number where I can find out how far along the investigation or something is going, and a number that I can give to my insurance that they can take care of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a day.
Only your car in that parking spot? Or
I haven't checked the others, but on my way there, I saw a big transporter that had another piece of paper like that on its windshield, but I didn't check if their car was keyed, but...
Oh.
Possibly, yeah. And it was not just like someone accidentally bumped into my car and just left a little scratch mark. It's a one consistent streak through the whole damn side.
That's definitely someone keying your car.
Yeah.
But
I don't understand why, but...
I don't really understand why people do this. Like, what do you get from it? It's not even... Like, there is nothing to keying a car that could give you any satisfaction, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you do, at least leave a note so I can scream at you and find out where you live and scream the fuck out of you. But
the thing is, this sounds so malicious, but it isn't. Well, it's not intended that way from me, at least. If, for example, for whatever reason, if this person would have been walking on the road and you were a car that more or less passed them recklessly, they, after that, keyed your car. That is at least like it's not a good thing. It's not a good reason, but there is at least an explanation for me, for my head, that I would say, okay, I can understand you did it. It is still not something you do. Period.
Yeah,
you can scream at the fucking driver, but you do not fucking key their car, because if you get caught, you are the one that's paying, and that's not worth it. It is never worth it. But like this just is just random, because they were walking down the street, probably, let's just say this, at night, because that's when the people are drunk and idiots.
It had to be at night, because it was from the night from Saturday to Sunday. When I left your place, my car was fine. On Sunday midday, there was just this streak. So yeah, that's been weighing on me a bit, to see how what I do with that now. I
don't know, but have you already assessed damage for someone? Like, do you know how much it's gonna cost to repair that?
No, I have not done that officially yet, but let me say I will not be giving my car into a sort of car repair, because that's not worth it for my old car. Probably just something of Amazon where I can just paint over it so it doesn't corrode.
Yeah.
But then the Super Bowl evening was great. it took my mind off things, and yeah, I enjoyed the evening still. But yeah, that's been weighing on me for the last couple of days. Nothing big, but still something that I think about.
That is a weighing thing, because a car is not a cheap thing. A car is a very important thing to many people's lives because they just need it. And yeah, no, that sucks. It's like someone would destroy your favorite toy, more or less.
Yeah,
but it's not just a toy. It's also...
It's my way of transportation.
It's your way of transportation. It makes sure that you can get to your job every day. It makes sure that you can do stuff, that you can buy groceries. And
since it's my first car I ever owned and had it now for, I think, about 6 years, something along those lines, nearly 7. It's kind of a symbol of my personal freedom for me because I got it as soon as I moved out of my parents' house. And
it's the first big thing that you owned. It's the first big thing you got yourself, right?
Exactly.
I know that, yeah.
But anyways,
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Oh, God. The thing is, I do enjoy the Super Bowl if I wouldn't have to, in quotation marks, work for the Super Bowl, right? So Super Bowl was midnight 30 to 4:30. That's when it finished. 4 hours. A good sports match, a good Rihanna concert. And then the work began. Then I had to assemble images and photos and pictures and all kinds of different things, stats, blah, blah, blah. And then I had to get up at 8 again.
Oh, fuck.
To go to university because I decided I am not gonna let my perfect record of attendance 100% go for this. So I went to university after. I slept for like 2 hours and was feeling like shit.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
I get out of the lecture hall, I take a bus ride home, I go shopping for groceries, put them in the fridge, go to my room, see my bed, fall down, sleep for 3 hours.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Get up and then do everything else. And yeah, Super Bowl was great, right? Even when I have to work, the game was a good one. I feel like both sides made so many mistakes.
Yeah.
So many things that didn't have to be done that would have changed the outcome of the game, would have guaranteed victory to either side if, for example, the defense of the fucking Philadelphia Eagles wouldn't have just left the game after the halftime show. That Mahomes decided in the second quarter to start fucking running with a fucking
broken ankle.
With a broken ankle. I understand that you're a fucking fast boy, but not when you're injured. Please don't do this. Like, because of how the rules for tackling work, they had to hit him in the legs. They had to hit him in the ankle. Like, what did he expect? Like, this is not worth it. It was like, I think it was a second down. You would have had the chance to just say, okay, I put the ball down and we go for a third again and try again with the throw. But no, I want to run. You make 2 fucking yards and have to go off the field, my dude. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, it was something.
It was such a weird, like, it was a very entertaining match.
Yeah,
we had a very good plays from both sides, but also we had so many weird things that I think would have just been, for especially the trainers, for example, or the coaches. I think that those coaches really also were pointing out to their team afterwards, because why the fuck did you run, Mahomes? Why did my defense just decide to go to McDonald's after the halftime show or something?
Yeah, like when the D-line just became a paper wall.
I didn't understand it. And also there were quite a few decisions from the judges, from the referees, in my opinion. There were quite a few moments that should have been ruled differently, or that have been then amended, and even the amendment was kind of, both ways work.
Yeah, there was a lot of things in quotation marks wrong, but it was still a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think it was
entertaining.
It was a really heads-on match. Both teams could have won. Both teams were good.
I mean, it was close. If I remember correctly, the last, or the victory points were scored in the last minute.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's normal for football. Just for the reason that if you do it over a minute before, it roughly takes a minute to get to the other side of the field when you play like crazy. So you need to score the winning points in the last minute of the last quarter to win the game, because otherwise the other team has enough time to get a touchdown.
Exactly, but it was heads on the whole entire game and not just a complete stomping of the other team. Where they were like 6 touchdowns ahead by the halftime. Then it might get difficult to recuperate from that in the second half, but was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it was a fun entertainment.
TTRPGs, yes.
First of all, I am completely TTRPG free for this week, and this is the first week I'm TTRPG free since like a year ago.
Okay.
It's okay because I want to study for my exams, but also I'm kind of sad that I don't get to play any TTRPGs this week.
Yeah,
none at all.
I mean, especially if you're used to playing TTRPGs at least once a week at some point.
Yeah.
You kind of miss it.
Yeah.
It's something,
I just can't wait for next Thursday when I'm gonna play again, I think. So yeah.
Yeah. But I have a session coming up today where my players are still currently in the Underdark, recently attacked by werewolves.
Okay.
Now on to the way to an underground vampire clan that they know about.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's see where all of this is going. I don't know yet what they want to do. We just cut the session right after the werewolf attack, basically.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see what stupid plan they come up with. Infiltrate, ? Or completely storm the hideout of the vampires to free 2 people that were captured.
I mean, players always come up with weird ideas. Maybe they set the place on fire, which is good against vampires.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
Saying.
Yeah.
Oh, well, is it good against D&D vampires to set them on fire?
It doesn't hurt them anymore, but
it doesn't. You need radiant damage for that.
But it isn't resisted.
I'm just so immersed currently in Vampire the Masquerade or general Vampire Chronicles and World of Darkness, and there is all kinds of fire are like dangerous to vampires because the sun is also just a ball of fire. So so when the sun is dangerous, every fire is dangerous, and that's kind of where I'm at with my head right now. But no, D&D vampires only take radiant damage more.
Yeah,
because they're
but fire
undead.
isn't worse against them as anything else. I think it's still effective.
True.
So burning the whole fucking place down, could be a thing.
Isn't gonna be effective against making these vampires scared of you or unable to attack because they have to flee. Because that's how it works in other systems. Because
but it could wreck their resting place. So
only angers them. Only angers them.
There are options. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, I definitely want to hear from you next time when you've played that and what happened, because that sounds interesting.
And as a little spoiler for you, because I can tell you that much, because we are playing today and the episode is not coming out until after, the head of the vampire clan is actually one of the minor BBEGs that works for the main big bad. And the players know that because they encountered this vampire before. At least they saw them. But now they get to experience the real thing. Let's see. Yeah, but I'll definitely tell you about it. I can't wait.
Okay. And then with that, let's jump into our mid-roll for today. And after that, talk about the reason why TTRPGs are growing, are rising, and why the space is growing, and what the word experience has to do with it all. Hey listener, how are you enjoying the show so far? Tell us about it in whatever way you see fit. Go to our social media pages and add us or DM us about your favorite episode of the show. We would love to hear from you on what impact our show might have had on your home games. Or you could review us on your podcast app of choice and leave us a nice message with a 5-star review. And if you want to go above and beyond, bring a friend into the fold. Tell them about our show and refer us to them so they can get a piece of the pie as well. Thank you for listening to DoubleDM and joining us on this incredible journey. Niels, we've talked about it in episode 100 of DoubleDM, right before our break, that I firmly believe that the single word experience plays a key role in why TTRPGs are so magical, right? It's the reason why we're here doing this podcast, why we have been able to create 103 episodes of content around games that we play in our heads around a table with dice or playing cards, or even sometimes without anything like that. And I think it's the single word of experience that really plays a key role in that. And I want to talk about that today.
Sounds like a plan. Funny that you mention it now, because recently I've been getting back into close-up magic a bit.
Okay.
Doing some card tricks. I was once really, really, really good, I think.
I've seen some of your tricks a few years ago, and you were very good.
Yeah, as you said, it was a couple of years ago, and I was curious to see how much I still can do. But I once actually performed some close-up magic in a restaurant on New Year's Eve for some of the guests. And I think this is a whole part of the thing that we want to talk about today, experience as a whole. Because I think everyone who once was part of a card trick or a coin trick or whatever, and then after that or before that has seen the same card trick, coin trick, or whatever, knows the difference between being part of it and just watching it. And this is exactly, I think, what you mean, or what we mean when we say experience. Because it's one thing to see how a coin is pulled from out of your ear or out of someone's ear, and a whole other story if the same coin is pulled out of your own ear. It's just different.
I think you can see this very, very well when you look at, I don't know, America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent shows, and they have compilations of the most cool magic tricks that they have on stage. And I've watched those, and I think everyone has at least seen such a video before, or a TikTok or something. At least for me, it's always been the same. I'm like, oh cool, this looks cool, but I've never been so enamored with the trick that has been done, like the judges that have been pulled on stage to help with the trick, or the audience in this seeing this trick performed live for them. Because I just have one perspective basically, and that's what the camera shows me. And it is very easy to actually cheat a camera if you want, but I would say it's harder to cheat a person that is standing on stage with you than the camera 15 meters away from you.
Oh yeah.
At least I would say that. I do not know close-up magic, and I would probably say that close-up magicians know how to trick both.
Yeah, but I can tell you from experience, it is way easier to trick a camera than a person.
Yeah.
It needs more finesse to trick a person because they can move their head. They can walk around. They have a way different angle when they stand right in front of you rather than a camera that's 15 meters away.
But that's exactly why you call it close-up magic, right? Because it's supposed to be close-up. But regardless, I just think that the camera obviously portrays what I'm seeing, what is seen, and still gives me the feeling of experiencing it, but it's not even close to being there in the moment, having it happen for me. I just think of this very funny TikTok video where someone pulls an ear from someone's head, and then he says, oh, if you really want to impress me now, do it with a chicken nugget. And then he pulls the chicken nugget from his ear, and the dude is like, oh! And this is a funny video. Maybe it's even fake, but it doesn't matter. It still drives the point home that if you would be that person and someone suddenly pulls a chicken nugget from your ear, you're gonna be very, very happy about that.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just sitting there laughing at the video. But if I'm in that moment, I'm not just laughing at the chicken nugget. I'm laughing at the experience that has just transpired, that I am now part of. And I think exactly that is where we are. And I think it's funny that we start with card magic or close-up magic, because I think it's very, very much one of the peculiar ones of these, because there are very much broader and easier ways to explain the term of experience. But I still love using this because I think it's a very interesting thing that most people are just interested in, because I've never seen a person that didn't enjoy having a card trick performed before them.
Yeah, I have never had a person who didn't like me performing a card trick for them. So it's just, even if you're not the biggest fan, it's still a cool thing to experience.
But also, I'm going to say this, it's something that you might not think about too much after it happened.
Exactly.
Something that you will probably think about a lot longer after it happened is, for example, one other thing that I think fits into this category as well. Concerts.
Oh yeah.
Because everyone out there, think of your favorite musician. Got it? Perfect. And now think of your favorite musician at a concert. Now, I'm not going to ask you to pick which of these two you want, because I don't think that that's going to be helpful. But I think everyone will agree that listening to Taylor Swift or any K-pop band on your earphones while you're working at home or doing grocery shopping is one thing. But being there at a concert of them is something more. It's not just about the music. It's not just about how much the lyrics and the music resonate with you. It's about experiencing this single moment with the performer up close to you, performing the same music that you could hear probably in even better quality at home.
Yeah, it's just a completely different focal point. If you're listening to music while you're doing your laundry or while you're cooking, your main focus is still doing the fucking laundry or cooking yourself some meal. If you're at the concert, the focal point is to enjoy the time that you have right now in its fullness, in every possible way, and not think about groceries or how you're going to get to work tomorrow, because that's completely out of the question now.
It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. You're just here for this moment. You want this to be the best thing it can be. You've been probably looking forward to this for a week or two or months even. One other thing that I very much enjoy, for example, are escape rooms. I like puzzles.
They're amazing.
I like doing stuff with my friends. Escape rooms do exactly that. I am with my friends. It's a team building exercise and we're having fun solving puzzles and picking locks or whatever. But I think escape rooms have only been really great because they provide you with a 1 hour intense experience of something, of this concept of working together to escape this room or this facility.
Exactly. And I think a big part of that, why it works so well, is because they immerse you completely in the situation itself. They use props, they use themes, they use music in this whole room to create puzzles and riddles that fit the situation perfectly. If you strip away all the theming of the props, doing one riddle after another might not be that fun. But as a situation as a whole, it's just completely changes the experience that you have. Mm-hmm. When you solve riddles, crosswords, for example, something like this, at home, it can be fun, yes. But if you theme it to a certain situation and put some props in there and get yourself some friends to do it with you, this just becomes something completely different. And like TTRPGs, something more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. I mean, everyone would agree that the daily Wordle you can do, I don't even know if those still exist.
I think they do.
I don't know. I don't really care. Everyone would agree that doing that is maybe fun for the 5 to 10 minutes you take every day to do it. But you don't think about the Wordle after that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, an escape room provides you with an experience that you can tell your friends about. But we were at this escape room and for example, I was in an escape room once. And first of all, the actual escape room we wanted to do broke because we wanted to do a somewhat horror-themed escape room. That broke, unfortunately, the day. So
sad.
We were offered, 20 minutes later, an exchange room where we were supposed to divide into 2 teams doing the same escape room, more or less, against each other.
Oh, damn, that's fun.
We were 8 people, and we divided into groups of 4, and then we had to, first of all, being competitive with your friends is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
But doing the stuff with your friends together is a lot of fun. And that experience alone, where we were able to even engage with each other while we were doing the escape rooms, because the first escape room, for example, was just a prison cell. So we were just in adjacent prison cells and could just shit-talk each other all the time.
Oh, man.
That obviously made the experience of itself already more worth it. And then that alone, that escape room is something that I remember now, 3 or 4 years later. And that alone tells me more about the latest Wordle I did, which was a year ago or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember the word, but I do remember the puzzles, or at least somewhat of the puzzles that we did in this escape room, because one of them was a music puzzle. And by the way we divided the groups was very unfortunate, because one group had the 2 people that actually do play music in it.
Oh boy.
and that obviously was then a very fun moment that happened. And at the end, everyone could laugh about it. But that's a moment that we all remember. It's an experience that we will not forget.
Coming back to the especially competitiveness and trash talking, I love that part when you compete with your friends. It's just a lot of fun as long as everyone has good intentions, as per usual. But for example, going on a racetrack to race some cards, just kart racing, can be a lot of fun. And not if you watch a kart race, it might not be that fun. But if you're sitting in the fucking vehicle, driving around, and then after the fact, trash talk about, oh, your driving sucks, better go back to school, and stuff like that, is part of the whole experience itself. Just not just the kart race itself, but the whole getting there, after the fact, talking about it, getting something to drink, it's all part of the same experience.
It's more than just the content you consume, basically,
exactly.
for me. For example, one of the best examples of more than just the content you consume, right? The concerts, for example, but another one is for me cinemas, because I'm a very huge movie person. I like movies. I like watching movies. I watch 3 movies a week. If I would go to the cinema for 3 times a week, that would be a lot.
Yeah, fair.
But a cinema visit once a month or once every 2 months is a very cool thing that happens for me. I enjoy it a lot. And it's more than just a movie that I consume. Because if I'm sitting at home and watching, let's say, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, whatever movie really. Let's say say just I watch a Star Wars movie. I'm sitting at home, either in front of my PC where I watch it or on my couch where I watch it, but I'm sitting there probably with a snack and a drink and my phone near to me. And I'm then scrolling Twitter or Instagram for maybe a few minutes, then look back at the movie for like 20 minutes. Then I pull up the phone again. I got a WhatsApp message, so I answer that, blah, blah, blah. It's a normal situation. Nothing really changes for me except that I say I am sitting down and watching this movie because I want to. It's entertainment. It's content that I want to have right now. When I go to the cinema, I turn off my phone. I do not look at it for the 2 or 3 hours of the movie because I want to experience just the movie. The sound system is probably better in the cinema. The screen is way bigger. The colors and everything is probably well better adjusted. The seat I'm in is oftentimes more comfortable than at home. And I'm just there for the whole experience of a cinema visit. I am there for popcorn and a Coke. I am there for also movie trailers. Yes, those are part of the experience for me.
Of course they are.
I am there for this to be part of a marathon with 2 friends watching this movie now. It's not just me going alone. I can do that, but I can also just go with 2 friends watching the same movie. We can also watch the movie at home, but then we're also on the couch. We're just talking with each other. Sometimes we might even pause the movie for 5 minutes because we're having a heated discussion or because someone of us found something on Twitter that they need to share with the others. All of those things. And it's complete different experience of the same content.
Yeah, or just the talking about all the trailers that you've seen in the movie or before the movie, and then planning your next cinema visit together to watch one of the movies that you've just seen a trailer for. It's all just part of the same content consumption, but in a completely different experience.
Yeah, we can even go a step further. Niels, I'm going to ask you this question. 2D or 3D movies in cinema?
I enjoy 2D movies more because for me, the image is mostly a bit sharper and a bit more, or a bit of a higher quality itself. But yeah, especially when 3D came out and was the new hot shit, this was the way to go. Nothing else mattered anymore. Fuck 2D. I don't want that shit. I want to feel like I'm in it and that I can grab shit.
I want to feel like Captain America is throwing his shield right at me.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I fully agree with you. 3D isn't perfect. I often watch 2D as well, but I have no problem watching 3D. 3D is very cool.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to even put one step on that because something that we do not have in Germany here yet, or not very good, at least in the vicinity that I've been to in cinemas, is 4D IMAX cinemas. Because I was once in Florida with my parents on vacation and we decided to go watch a movie today. So we watched Star Trek, I think, Into Darkness. And that was a 4D IMAX cinema. And now some people might remember 4D cinemas from something like Legoland or where you had like a little bit of water drizzling down and some wind blowing past your feet. This was you sitting, basically we were 3 seats, right? And the 4th seat next to us was empty. And you had these 4 seats and it was always 4-seat rows. And then when the movie started, we all felt that we were like pushed up like 10 centimeters or 20 centimeters up.
Okay.
And when the USS Enterprise made a turn in space, our seats, literally like on a roller coaster, moved with the movement. Okay. That was not just a little bit of water or air. It was a complete immersive experience in the movie right in front of us. Obviously, we also had 3D glasses, and those were very high quality too. And the seat we were on had special speakers built in so that the sound came right next to us. It was a 7.1 surround sound system, amazing. Basically, for every single passenger in these seats. That is the thing that I will never forget because it was the greatest movie experience that I've ever had. The movie didn't matter to me. I'm a Star Trek fan, but the movie itself wasn't that great, at least from what I remember. And I don't even remember much from the movie. But what I do remember is the experience of that cinema.
Yeah, I would love to experience that at some point because I can only, I've only been to these like in Legoland or stuff like that. But yeah, I
mean, those are fun for kids. Those are fun for kids, but they're not 4D cinemas.
Exactly. But I would love to see a movie in one of those kinds of cinemas.
I can tell you would love it. It's a completely different experience. And I think that's exactly where it lies. They do not seek to just provide you the content you want to see. They provide you with an experience that you will never forget. And now let's get to the one thing that actually made us want to do this episode. I've talked about it in episode 100, but that is the change of the entertainment park industry to provide immersive experiences in their parks more than just thrilling rides and overpriced food.
Yeah. The thing is, I've never been to Galaxy's Edge, but from what I've seen, I really, really, really want to go.
Exactly.
Because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the whole universe, everything in it, and basically consume Star Wars content nearly every day to some degree, being it memes, some episodes of a TV series, or the whole trilogy, or the whole one of the trilogies again, anything. And Galaxy's Edge kind of from what I've seen, provides a way to be in Star Wars.
Exactly.
To be on a planet in Star Wars and completely feel like you're part of that universe itself, not just riding some weird, maybe awesome and intense roller coaster with a queue that is kind of themed like Star Wars, but being in it itself.
Yeah, there is no looking outside, seeing the outside world right now. You are in Star Wars. And that is what Disney wants from you. They want you to feel that you go in Star Wars, right? One of the biggest attractions that Disney has ever created with Galaxy Edge is what? The build your own lightsaber. It's not a thrilling ride. It's nothing really. But name me one person that didn't grow up with Star Wars, that didn't have at least one time the thought, oh my God, what I could do with a lightsaber.
I can't, because everyone I know wants to build their own fucking lightsaber.
And I mean, sure, there are obviously people that do not like Star Wars and don't want their own lightsaber. I'm not here saying that Star Wars is universally liked. But building your own lightsaber, if you're a Star Wars fan, is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And especially if it provides a very good experience, not just through, okay, now you take part A and click it to part B, and then put in this crystal-looking plastic thing. No, they make a whole show of it. It's not just that some instructor tells you that instructor is specifically trained to improv being a Star Wars character.
Yeah, you're not building a toy. You are building your own lightsaber. Yeah, and I think you don't have to like Star Wars to experience anything like that. For example, this whole concept can be related to anything else, really. Like, for example, if you are a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but hate Star Wars, one time there will maybe be a park like Galaxy's Edge for the Lord of the Rings, and you can fucking forge your own ring of power.
Go to New Zealand. That is where you get your I am in Lord of the Rings experience. Because I think the sets for the Hobbit houses have actually been destroyed once, but have been rebuilt again, and now they're forever. So you can visit them, and then you will feel like you are part of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Same concept happens. If you go to Ireland to see the castles that have been used in Game of Thrones, you will feel a bit like you're part of Game of Thrones in that moment. Obviously, there will be other tourists and that somewhat destroy the experience, but they are also just having the same experience as you there.
Yeah.
And this is really where it's at. It's an immersive experience of something. It's not about the content anymore. It's about being part of that concept, of being part of that content, of being part of that experience. And this is exactly where I want to switch now to the question, why is that? Why has the entertainment industry just shifted away from producing the content itself to providing more than the content, something that goes beyond the content?
I think a lot of that relies on the way we are able to get our content nowadays. With the internet coming up, or being as present as it is now, coming up, But with the internet the way it is now, and the way we can get to the content that we like to consume, being it YouTube or Netflix, Spotify, whatever the fuck, right? It's just easy to directly address the content itself.
Yeah.
You don't, when you want to listen to music, you can just go on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, whatever, right? And listen to the music. It's nothing out of the ordinary anymore to consume the content that you want to consume. It's easy for you to get. But one thing that isn't easy to get is the experience of consuming that content in a different way. And I don't mean I watch a Netflix movie on my a PC, and the next day I watch the same Netflix movie on my couch. It's still the same way of consumption, basically. But if you go to a cinema, that's a completely different story. And that's why I usually try to go for experiences rather than the content itself. I can't tell you how many times I've consumed content that I don't really like itself because the experience around it was still great. A couple of times I went to the movies with some friends of mine and I didn't like the movie, but still the experience itself was still a fun one.
Yeah.
And I still remember those because it was a completely different way of consuming this media.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The content is so easily and readily available for everyone now. So obviously the entertainment industry, to make money, needs to change. We all know that, and that's not why we're here. But also people obviously change in their zeitgeist. And I'm actually going to use the word correctly because it's called zeitgeist, not zeitgeist, people. Irrelevant. In the zeitgeist of current generations, people have the content readily available. They want to experience something new. The content itself is not new anymore. Or the experience or the way of consumption is not new anymore. But what you cannot get every day, at least not as long as you're not super rich and have the time to do so, is be part of build your own lightsaber every day. That's a one-time experience or a two-time experience. Because you cannot get that more often than that. Yeah. Only when you're at a specific location, at a specific point in time, basically, you can get that. And that alone makes it unique. It's unique. It's a unique experience that no one can replicate anywhere else for you right now.
Exactly.
And that's why you want it so much. Yeah. And I'm going to say this is an effect of social media. This is an effect of the internet that we want our lives to be so unique and so glamorous and so shareable online. And this is really, we can talk about the psychological effect as if it's bad, but I am no psychiatrist or psychologist, so I do not want to comment on that because other people can do way better than me and I will probably just misinform people.
Yeah.
But it's an effect and that has to be stated for this. This has to be stated that this is an effect that happens through social media, through us being able to peer into so many other people's lives and what they do, that we think, wow, this person is living a dream life for me because they get to experience this, and I do not. And I want that as well.
Yeah. Well, one thing that really resonated with me regarding shareability, I came across an indie band, a German indie band, and somewhere, I don't even remember where I saw the flyer, but I saw they were a live band gig in a small little bar somewhere around here, and no entry fee, nothing, no tickets you had to buy. It's just they were playing at that bar at that evening, and I went there, and then I got to talk with the band themselves, the band members, and it was a complete whole thing. I listened to their music a lot, but I didn't go for the music because I can listen to the music whenever the fuck I want, but I can't talk to the persons behind the music.
No,
or I can't talk with other people about the music that is playing right in this moment anywhere else than this bar right now.
I think we really need to hold on to the uniqueness of the moment as a concept. But I think that there are different reasons, obviously. Obviously, first of all, it's different for everyone as well. Some people might want their content to be available in different ways, but a very other simple way is escapism. You've had a long job week. You've had a lot of bad customers at retail work today, and you can just escape into a different world, into a fantasy world or in a sci-fi world, and not care about anything else but the moment you are in right now. All the worries disappear for a few hours and you get to have fun without the worries. And when you go home, you can start worrying again, but you will feel refreshed because you finally had the time to not care. That's important. That's a very high value that we need to hold on to. That's a very high value you need to recognize that is part of the experience.
And I think that this is one of the reasons why especially TTRPGs got so big in the last couple of years, because it is a more or less easy way to escape the world that you are in right now. You just sit around a table with a couple of friends or meet up in Discord or however you play TTRPGs. It's just a way to forget what is going on around you and be immersed in the story and have fun without worrying about anything else in this exact moment.
This is how TTRPGs fit into all of this. Anything we said so far in some way, shape or form applies to TTRPGs. But okay, how does it work? For me, I think TTRPGs are a very, very easy way to get the experience you want.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot physically go to Galaxy's Edge once a year. I do not have the money for that or the time. But what I can do is meet up with a bunch of friends to go to my own imagination of the Star Wars world.
Yeah, and I think you just mentioned a big part of why it is so easy, because the human imagination is a powerful thing. It is a truly, truly powerful thing. It is the best movie theater there is, because you can shape it the way you want it to look.
Exactly. It's the best video game you can think of. It's the best book you ever read. It's the best music you've ever listened to.
Exactly, because you can shape it the way you want it to be. It's completely up to you.
Exactly.
And therefore, you are not just part of it, you're the creator, part, consumer, everything. You're everything that has to do with your imagination.
Yeah.
And TTRPGs are just a way to channel that imagination into a specific direction. For example, if you play any fantasy TTRPGs, you're obviously, or maybe you are, but most of the time, you're not sitting in a tavern physically, listening to a bard playing music, drinking some ale.
No, you're not. Yeah.
But in your head you are, and therefore you are.
You're listening, suddenly in your head there is music playing. Suddenly in your head you are smelling, I don't know, roasted beef that is being brought to your table. Maybe, maybe not. Some people have aphantasia. Cannot imagine those things. But even for them, TTRPGs provide a cool experience because there's still escapism. There's still a social aspect. There is still a complex aspect to TTRPGs, because I believe one thing otherwise people enjoy more than just consuming content is the complexity of an experience that there is. It is occupying your brain right now. You do not think about outside things right now, or much at least. You have this in your mind, and your mind is occupied with it and does whatever you want for it. And TTRPGs can do a lot of different things. There can be team building exercises like escape rooms. They can be unique one-time experiences like concerts, or which would then be maybe one-shots, basically. They are simple and yet also complex at the same time. They are simple, like a simple card trick being performed, or complex, like a very important, very immersive, big entertainment park.
Actually, I think TTRPGs are both at the same time. They're one of the most complex things that are that simple, because the rules themselves are most of the time fairly easy to comprehend, because the rules aren't the focal point of the experience. The imagination part, the talking with your friends part, and being immersed in the story, that is the focal point for TTRPGs, at least for me. And therefore, I don't care what rules I use. I just care about what is happening at the table right now without considering any of the rules itself.
One thing that I've heard about the entertainment parks, especially Disney World, for example, when it was created, of all the rides that have been created, of all the things that have been done for all of the Disney World parks in Florida, Orlando, is that entertainment parks try to capture imagination and bring it to life. Disney wants you to feel like when you're in Magic Kingdom, you're part of a fantasy world with princesses and princes and knights and pirates and whatever else. Your imagination is controlled by the park around you. But it's not them obviously trying to necessarily force it on you, but it's more of you're part of a Wild West world right now. Let your imagination run wild. And then you see one of the park employees walk by with a cowboy hat, and then that helps your imagination, and they bring your imagination to life that way. Obviously, that's somewhat marketing talk. It's somewhat true though. But I think TTRPGs, on the other hand, are channeling imagination. They do not try to capture it. They are channeling it and give it a way to come to life instead of bringing it to life. TTRPGs are a more free medium. And they are only a more free medium because you, the consumer, also are the creator. Consumer and creator merge in TTRPGs. Obviously, if you're the creator of a TTRPG, you also have consumers that buy your TTRPG. But they are the ones that create the game. They are the ones that create the world and adventure narrative and characters in that game. And they are then at the same time consumer and creator. They are merging the two terms together for it to be a TTRPG enjoyer.
Exactly. It's I think it's hard to define directly, but everyone who played TTRPGs knows what we're talking about right now. Because you don't have to be a game master for anything to be the creator of the experience itself. Every player is the creator of their own experience, at least to some degree. Because you are part of the story. You are part of the game. You interact with the world that Game Master provides you with. You interact with the other player characters. You interact with the NPCs. You interact with everything. You roll physical dice, for example. You're just still part of the creation process of the experience itself. And I think that's the beauty of TTRPGs, because you are not the sole creator of anything. You're a co-creator of the whole experience, working together with everyone else at the table, with the game master, with the other players, to create a thing that everyone enjoys best.
Yeah, I very much agree with you, right? It's about this shared experience. I've made a thread recently on Twitter which asked why TTRPGs, and one of the most common responses that I got is the word collaborative storytelling, or the phrase collaborative game enjoyance. You're never alone in TTRPGs, okay? Except if you play solo TTRPGs or journaling TTRPGs. Those still have a place and are very fun to play as well. However, they aren't collaborative, obviously. But a lot of people enjoy TTRPGs for the collaborative nature of them, because it allows them and their friends to share an imagination, to share creativity, to work on something together, to create something beautiful only for the people that they are themselves.
Yeah, and the thing is, no one else will create the same thing ever again. It's a unique thing that only you and your group have created. It's, again, the uniqueness of the experience that we talked about earlier. Because you can play the same story, the same module or whatever, over and over again. Every time it will be different. Because there will be other characters, there will be other players. Something will change, and therefore making it completely unique.
Yeah, it's never repeatable what just happened in your game. And that moment will then live on as a memory. There are so many memories that I have from TTRPG sessions that I will never forget. I could bring on countless insiders in the 10 years that I've played. I don't have to, but there are countless of them. And I will never forget them in my life, because they are so dear moments to me that I just want to have. And honestly, I come back to the table exactly for that reason, because I know there will be more moments like these. I don't have to hold on to the old ones, but I am always creating new ones. I'm always creating more core, important, and fun memories for myself with my friends around a table. And that is really the big reason why I come back, because I just enjoy the experience of sitting around a table with my friends, making these core memories.
Yeah, it's just one of the games that I are a player in. Started roughly a year ago, and of course, I kind of remember everything that happened before, because I'm a meticulous note taker. But I don't really care for the in-game stuff that happened a year ago. But I still remember all the fun that I had around the table with all the friends that played with me. I still remember how we shaped the world the way we wanted it to be. Either outside of game, just talking about what we want to happen, or in the game, doing the things that we want to do. Just not without any consideration, but yeah, I just want to go to the tavern and drink my brain out. Sure, I'm going to do that. And yeah, this is the reason why I come back every time, because I have friends with me that experience the same experience that I am, because we are all creating the same one for each other.
Yeah.
We are not creating a experience for ourselves. We are just there as a collaborative mass of people that just create an enjoyable moment. And these moments differ widely from each other, but they are still all in the same vein. We all enjoyed it massively, and we all will come back exactly because of those moments that we created, forged, crafted, whatever other word for create you want to put here.
One thing that I really want to talk about is also that TTRPGs are one of the most easy ways for people, myself included, to express themselves.
Oh yeah.
It's a very easy way to express your creativeness, your own self-person, maybe even your grief and your anger and your emotions. And it's a great way to just be yourself, especially if you have the right table for it. It's the perfect way to just work with who you are, imbue some of your core traits in a character, try to help yourself with this. I know TTRPGs aren't a stand-in for therapy, and I'm not advocating for it, but they can be therapeutic.
Yeah, actually, to that point, one of my friends in that group that I just mentioned is a psychologist, and he says that there is actual uses of TTRPGs in therapy.
I know.
They can be, and they have a place in therapy itself, but they are not a stand-in, as you said.
Yeah, I, as a dungeon master, am not your therapist.
Exactly.
I can help you with stuff, but I'm not licensed to actually really be helping you.
You can just be there as a friend, but not as a therapist.
I'm not much more than a friend or a person that provides a fun experience for you.
Exactly.
I can obviously help you, but besides the point, it's just a very good way of expressing artistic freedom. And I think artistic, and especially the word art, is so important because I don't know if we've done this before yet to this extent, but I firmly believe that TTRPGs are a very high form of art.
Oh yeah, most definitely they are. Yeah.
It's a way of expressing yourselves. It's unique to the person that does it. And it's on the baseline, it's beautiful for its consumers. What more is there to art? Okay, making a statement. I can also do that with TTRPGs. So what actually says TTRPGs aren't art? And I'm saying, I'm not the only one saying this, but TTRPGs are art. And when we look at them like art, this opens up a lot more than, it's not just a game. Obviously, games are also art. It's really its own form of art.
Yeah, and therefore any discussion basically about how good or bad objectively something is in TTRPGs makes no sense at all, because there is no...
say that.
Yeah, but a TTRPG experience that you have, that you enjoyed as a consumer and creator of the same content, and everyone agrees to the same extent, no one can actually say, no, that was a bad experience, except the people that have experienced it themselves.
That were part of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, that's what I agree with, right? We can still obviously argue if D&D is the best system to do the experience.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the things that you use to create the experience, but the experience itself cannot be objectively defined as good or bad.
Yes.
Because it is very subjective to your own personal creation and recognition and perception of the situation itself, just like art is. You can say, yeah, that brushstroke might have not been the best idea. But for the artist, it was exactly what the artist wanted to be.
Yeah.
So is this the creation of the experience in TTRPG space. It might not have been the most elegant way to handle a situation, but it was the way that we all agreed to do and enjoyed it. So it was the perfect way to handle the situation for this exact moment.
And I mean, you are part of that experience. You are sharing it. You are building at it. You are part of the creating of that experience itself. So you have a say in how the experience is supposed to be.
Exactly.
So for you control at least some sort of that on shaping that experience to be what you want it to be and what everyone else at your table wants it to be. And I think, okay, how do we work with that effect, right? We know TTRPGs are art. We know that entertainment is shifting towards experiences. How do we work with that? Well, I firmly believe that one of the best things that I've done for my TTRPGs is building immersion. I like building immersion. I have music tracks for everything. I make elaborate descriptions either up in my head for a situation or have written down, especially if they become at the beginning of a session. So my players feel immersed. I have, when we play on a virtual tabletop, for example, I have an image of what I imagine the space at least somewhat to look like they are in right now. I have images for NPCs that are important, so my players have an image for them. I do voices, I do gestures, and all of that stuff is helping immersion. It's just like these entertainment parks like Galaxy Edge for Star Wars does, is immersing you in that exact experience. It is gonna elevate this experience in your brain. And I firmly believe that if you work on immersion for your game, you're gonna have a better game. Even though immersion, I can say more or less, is the fluff of your game. The actual game itself, or the actual narrative, isn't affected by the immersion, or at least not in the big way. The narrative doesn't change, but the immersion can already provide a lot for the experience to actually be way more fun and way more great for the people in the experience.
And the thing about immersion is you don't have to have elaborate descriptions or music tricks for everything to have a level of immersion that you want. It kind of depends on the table that you have. For example, for my table, or one of my tables, we are all very visual people. We can imagine things with just little things, little descriptors. And that's usually what I do, because I just pinpoint minor details visually, or sound details or something like that. I just pinpoint a couple of those, and then each other's imagination fills in the rest. And therefore, everyone has exactly the experience they want to have, or exactly the level of immersion they want to have. And we talked about this at the table, and everyone kind of imagines some monsters that are used differently, but still the key features were the same, because that's the things that I described. But everything else is completely filled in by their own mind, and therefore perfectly fitting everything. And nothing really feels out of place, because you are filling in everything else other than the adamant little details that I, for example, mentioned. Just so you know, nothing has to be as adamantly completely written out, or to the single strand of hair on every enemy or NPC they encounter. They don't have to be elaborately written out that way, but they can be. It's not that they have to, but it is a possible way to immerse everyone at the table.
Yeah.
Depending on what works for your group. That's something that you have to talk about and figure out during play.
I want to go back to the word experience for one bit, for one last thing that I want to talk about. Because Matt from Roleplay Chat made a post recently about, are you more of a world builder or more of a world explorer or world experiencer? I don't know what the exact words were or what the exact saying of the post was, but that, because I want to talk about that. Because TTRPGs for me, I've said this before in this podcast, were at some point a storytelling medium for me. Me telling a story as a game master. That's why I like being a game master in the beginning. But that's a flawed way of thinking about it for me nowadays.
Yeah.
Because I am not telling a story. I am providing scenarios for a story to emerge. We talked about this before, but I am not telling a story. I am making a story with my players that emerges. When I look back at it, it's a story that has been told. But then when I look to the future, there is a gray mist in the future, because I don't know in what direction my players are going to go. So TTRPGs are more about experiencing a story than telling a story. I do not control everything in the story, so I'm not telling it. But I do control some part of it, and my players do control some part of it. And that way, we are all kind of going this path of the story together. We are all experiencing it. Sure, we all have our different roles in that story. I do still have to think about the implications for which path now goes forward, that my players chose one. But at the end, I don't know what happens if I present something again on that path and my players decide to go into a different direction again.
Yeah, basically you're exploring the story and experiencing the story together. No one provides anything concrete that is definite from beginning to end, but you create situations that create their own thing entirely.
And that's where it lies for me, because Matt's post was about world building. And I said, I am both. I have to be both to play TTRPGs.
Same.
I am building my world. I have a world. I have a very big world even. I have, I think, 7 continents that are very, very fucking big with a lot of countries on them, but I don't know a lot about these countries. But I have set the ground rules. This is the area of land. This is rough biomes. These are countries. These are important NPCs that fill in these worlds. These are some laws of nature and physics for this world. And anything else only emerges in play. If my players are in a forest, the details around this forest only emerge when we start playing. Sometimes, I prep them, but they still only emerge when we start playing. This is a forest inhabited by a lot of spiders. It's something that I could have made up beforehand. And cool, that is cool. But now my players decide to burn the forest down because of the spiders. Now there isn't any forest anymore, but there is a burned wasteland. That is emergent experiencing world building, because I did not make that fact. My players and myself, by the way of our story, how it happened, changed the world and impacted it. That is also world building.
Yeah, and I think this is an important thing for experiences as a whole, or especially in TTRPG experience, is agency. Either player agency or GM agency, it doesn't matter in that fact, because if you don't have any power to change anything, you're not experiencing the things that you want to. You're just consuming content. But if you have the power to create and change the world around you in a TTRPGs, and change the way your character feels, change the way other characters feel with consent of other players, this is what makes a TTRPG not just a medium to consume, but an experience to have, at least in my opinion.
I totally agree. And I think with that, we are basically finished at the discussion of experience and how entertainment favors TTRPGs right now. I don't know whatever we really want to call this, but I think really what to bring this to a point, entertainment is always changing. And I think TTRPGs are a very free medium, and they are able to adapt to whatever people currently want from their entertainment, because it's the people that make their own entertainment with this base set of rules. And that is beautiful. And that is why I firmly believe that TTRPGs are ever gonna grow. I think that this market is far from stopping where it's at right now, and it's gonna grow immensely further by just how the conditions are for it. The internet makes it very accessible to play TTRPGs. Actual plays are more important than ever in distributing awesome stories and awesome narratives and awesome characters and awesome whatever else to people out there and get them to play the games themselves. There are more games than ever being created with very simple SRDs that you can just pick up and create a game in 15 minutes with. There are more indie designers than ever, and this market and this hobby, this space is gonna just grow. And I sure hope that that growth is very good for the market and not just all focused on D&D and Wizards of the Coast. So I think with that, we're finished for today.
Yeah, and as per usual, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at DoubleDMPod. We also have a website if you would like to check that out at www.doubledm.com. We also have a Ko-Fi if you would like to check that out. And please, if you like the show, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast listening platform of your choice. It really helps the show out. It gets us out there. It gets everyone else to experience the things that they might enjoy. But yeah, as per usual, tell anyone, tell your cat, tell your grandma, tell whoever you like. And with that, thank you for listening. Hear you on the next one, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.